I was going to go off on a different direction in this interview, but I got an alert from Yahoo Finance. There's a story on our page right now saying you are delivering money to people's houses in partnership with GoPuff. Explain it to us.
Hey, Soz, great to be with you. So we're launching a service, Robinhood Banking. It's rolling out to external customers right now. Early feedback seems quite good. And the idea is, can we actually give you the private banking experience? So the same type of experience that a high net worth individual would get from a private bank, but with the digital experience they've come to expect from Robinhood. And as we started thinking about the types of features and services that the high net worth individuals would get, one of them is they're not going to an inner city ATM. They're getting cash delivered to their house. And surprisingly, even though we're getting increasingly digitized, cash is still a very important part of the US economy. And people need it from time to time. And when they need it, we want to deliver it to them with the convenience they expect from other digital services. So high net worth individual gets cash delivered to their house in a truck. We figured out how to do that in partnership with GoPuff to the mass market.
Vlad, how does this...
And that's just one of many features that I think make Robinhood Banking the best solution for customers.
Vlad, how does this come? I have full disclosure, I've not used this yet, but I'm curious about it. How does this cash come? Is it in a bag with a dollar sign on it? Like, how's it packaged? I've never had cash delivered to my house, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we don't want to just deliver it to you in a shiny bag with a dollar sign. I think it's a little bit more discreet than that. Gotcha. But actually, one of the initial markets is New York. So I encourage you to give it a try.
Fair enough. Look, one of the benefits of doing an event like this, we can actually get in depth into your story, the story of Robinhood. Take me back to the 1997 Infiniti Q45, Vlad.
Well, that was a very nice car. It was a boat of a car. That's a deep cut. So I was a graduate student at UCLA, and my co-founder, Beju, and I put all of our belongings, including some servers, into the back of my Infiniti Q45. We couldn't afford to move with movers, and also plane tickets were quite difficult. So we drove across the country to where you're sitting now, New York City, and started our first company. This was a high-frequency trading firm in the absolute middle of the global financial crisis, where everyone was telling us that that was the worst time that you could possibly start, not just any company, but a financial services company. But the industry changed. There was a lot of disruption. Institutional finance went from kind of open outcry trading on the floor to completely digital. And then this sort of like set the seeds for us launching Robinhood many years later, where we basically combined the technology of high frequency trading with the new platform shift of mobile, and became the first mobile-first zero commission financial company.
Do you still have the car? It's a bit of a historic thing, almost like the IBM Garage or whatever that was?
No, unfortunately, I don't have the car. It stopped running right around 2013, and then I sold it for about $300. So someone got a great deal in Northern Virginia.
Vlad, one thing inherent to your story, and you and I have talked about this a lot the past 18 months, but really this year it is the product velocity over at Robinhood. It seems like every day I wake up, there's something new coming from you and your team. Help us understand how you're able to get some of these products to market so quick, and how are you identifying new areas to grow in the space?
Yeah, I think that we've been fortunate to have spent a lot of time over the past few years building great infrastructure, both on the technology side, but also great people, great leaders. And we try to move fast and do so safely, because we recognize we're a financial company, and you want to make sure that customers have a reliable service. But I think we've been able to move fast while making sure that we do so safely, and it just requires having the right talent and the right technology infrastructure, which we continue to invest in. And it's not always the sexiest thing to talk about, but there were a couple of years, 2020 and 2021, where we didn't ship too many products, but instead we really got our house in order and built the foundations for the company you see today.
What's been the biggest game-changing product for Robinhood this year?
Well, I'd say the last quarter, we announced that we had record net deposits. So 20 plus billion in net deposits in the quarter into the platform. And we already surpassed last year's record of net deposits with another entire quarter to go. We also announced 11 business lines, up from 9, that generate 100 million plus in annualized revenue run rate. The two new ones are Bitstamp, which is our institutional crypto exchange that crossed into the 9-figure revenue run rate, and also prediction markets. Prediction markets, which we've talked about, our fastest growing business of all time from a revenue standpoint, doubling quarter after quarter. And we also announced so far in October, we've traded more contracts at about 2.5 billion than all of Q3 put together. So that's been ramping extremely quickly. So I think I'd have to point to that one as the fastest growing. That's on the active trader side. But again, you look on the wealth building side, where we're not just building for active traders, but we want to be your primary financial account and your secondary financial account. You mentioned financial super app. Banking's looking really good. Credit card has ramped to north of 500,000 cardholders incredibly quickly, which makes us one of the fastest growing in that space. And Robinhood strategies in retirement have been ramping as well. So I'm proud of how the team's been able to build for these very different customer bases, active traders on one hand, but also becoming the platform that can help all of our customers, the mass market, with the totality of their financial needs.
Vlad, here's what Bernstein just said about Robinhood after your quarter. Quote, quarter after quarter, Robinhood management raises the bar and tells us why the stock deserves its valuation. How do you model a company that adds a couple $100 million revenue businesses every year? How could an investor model a business like yours?
Well, I think that we try to give our investors really leading visibility into how things are evolving. And as you could probably tell, even the way we're communicating with investors is evolving and improving. So it was less than a year ago that we did our first video earnings call, for instance, and we've improved upon that experience. The last earnings call was not only on video, but we had live video question asking from retail customers. We had sell side, buy side, and the media in the room, and it was in the Chase Center in San Francisco. So we actually did it at an interesting location. So the communication with investors, I think, has been improving, and it's a product in and of itself. In terms of the financial profile of the company, we keep it very simple. We want to grow revenues faster than costs. It sounds simple, but it's actually not trivial to do, especially at high scale. And we make big bets. We're not only content to improve the products we have incrementally and get a little bit better, even though that's very important, but we also make bets on new categories that you don't see elsewhere. And that led to innovations that are relatively unique to Robinhood in our space. For example, 24-hour markets on the active trading side, cash delivery, which you mentioned on the banking side, the deposit match products, which still continue to be unique, and of course, prediction markets as well.
I see a lot of what you're doing, Vlad, really trying to connect with the retail investor this investor has become way more sophisticated. Yet I look out through corporate America more broadly. I don't see a lot of companies doing video calls from the Chase Center for their earnings days. I mean, nobody's doing this stuff. Does that frustrate you? They're not taking the retail investor seriously.
Well, I'm seeing a ton of progress on this front, actually, and I'm working hard to make it easier for companies. I think you have to remember, most companies, when they think about their business, dealing with retail investors is pretty secondary or ancillary. They're worried about, making sure that they're launching products and they treat investor relations, particularly retail, as kind of a chore or something they're forced to do. Our business is inherently different. Retail investors are at the core of not just our investor base, but also our customer base. And so we're kind of in a better position to take the lead here. But just last week, Opendoor, for example, became the first company outside of Robinhood to use our infrastructure to live stream their earnings to their customers. And we've had lots of others reach out. So you should expect that to be a growing trend in investor relations in the future. People are seeing what we're doing, and they're seeing that it's resonating with retail, and they like to explore and up level as well. Even you look at our IPO access offerings. When we pioneered IPO access to retail back in 2021, we were met with a lot of skepticism. People would say, of course, Robinhood would do it. You're Robinhood, but why do I have to share a chunk of my IPO with retail? That seems like a bit of a strange thing. But now, after 3 years, 4 years, pretty much all of the major IPOs are in touch with us, and they're talking about how can they level up their retail engagement. And you've seen that reflected in larger allocations and better selection for customers. So I think it's a wave that's going to continue, and we're going to continue to do what we can to make sure retail is a first-class constituency for every public company.
You came out earlier this year, Vlad, with some very strong or robust long-term oriented growth plans in terms of numbers. Within those numbers, but since then, the crypto industry, it has even become more mainstream. The growth in these businesses, whether it's Bitcoin, various coins, have gone through the roof. 10 years out, how big is your crypto business?
Well, so right now, crypto at Robinhood is largely driven by spot crypto trading in the US. And it's, 20 to 25% of our overall revenue. I think the interesting thing is that crypto and financial services are going to fully merge over time. And that's kind of the bet that we're making. So traditional assets, right now we make a very clear distinction between our equities business, our options business, our futures business, and crypto. And also, cash management, banking, and credit card are separate. But more and more of these business lines are going to see crypto technology permeating their very fabrics. So you're going to start to see banking-like products that are stablecoin powered. And there's going to be some ambiguity about whether that's a crypto business or a TradFi business. But as the two fully merge, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to cleanly separate. I think it's going to become bigger and relatively indistinguishable from traditional finance, particularly as tokenization technologies continue to develop and become more mainstream.
Over the long term, Vlad, what business becomes bigger as a part of Robinhood? Is it crypto or is it prediction markets?
I think those businesses too are not going to be distinguishable. I mean, you look at prediction markets ex-US, it's generally on crypto rails. And in the US, where you have CFTC and NFA, they're being offered via traditional means. I think what's going to happen is outside of the US, the dominant way to invest or get exposure to US assets and later on global assets is going to be through tokenization and crypto technology, like you see with our EU offering. And then the US eventually will upgrade on the back end, but I think that it'll likely be a little bit behind just because we already have that existing infrastructure that's serving customers well. And I think that if you look out 10 years, we'd like to build a company where more than half of our revenue is ex-US, and sliced another way, more than half of our revenue is institutional rather than retail. So I think there's a ton of growth left in crypto, and also as it continues on an infrastructure layer with things like decentralized exchanges, perpetual futures, tokenization, as it continues to develop and mature, you're going to start seeing crypto eat the traditional financial system and continue to become integrated at a base layer.
Let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Ali Canal from the Invest Social Center with some viewer questions for Vlad. Ali, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. And yes, Vlad, we have plenty of questions from our Yahoo Finance social media viewers. Kicking things off from user Hedge Vision, who asks, do you have any other perks in store for the Robinhood credit card?
Oh, we have tons of perks in store. So again, we want it to be the best experience and in line with what you'd expect from a private banking relationship. So if you are one of the 500 plus thousand cardholders for the Robinhood credit card, you're seeing great rewards, industry-leading cash back across all categories. And as banking rolls out, you'll see great travel benefits, an amazing travel portal, and I encourage you to check it out because more and more is coming on a monthly basis.
All right, so watch out for more there. And we have a two-parter here from AB. First question, as the entire world continues to shift towards AI, automated workforces, and robotics, do you see that as a threat to more traditional brokerage firms such as Schwab and Fidelity? And how is Robinhood positioned to be a winner in that space?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I think there's two views, two schools of thought about the impact of AI on society. One is that it's going to create lots of new jobs. So certainly there will be job disruption, but you'll see new jobs and job families and a flurry of entrepreneurial activity. That's the one that I happen to believe in. The other one is that the other view is that it's going to lead to greater and greater centralization, and maybe the handful of frontier labs that are building these models are going to aggregate more and more of the value, and they're going to try to build products and engage in enterprise deals that basically displace workers. So that's sort of like the bleaker view. I think regardless of which one of these you believe in, becoming an investor and getting exposure to the markets and AI companies in particular is going to be very, very important. And that's why we're pushing so hard on retail access to private markets in the US through various means. We think that it's going to be important for people to be owners in this AI technology in order for them to support it and defend it. Because AI right now, deeply unpopular. People are afraid of AI job disruption and how it's affecting their families and their livelihoods. I think a big part of that is they don't have skin in the game. You know, they're worried AI is going to take their jobs and give them nothing in return. And we're very focused on solving that problem in doing our contribution to solve it, which is giving private markets access to retail investors, particularly in AI companies.
Yeah, and we have been talking about AI all day. And then finally, for part two, with the great generational wealth transfer underway, how is Robinhood prepared to capture and manage these assets as a fully online platform?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So one of the benefits, one of the things that we're testing out and really leaning in with Robinhood Banking and the credit card in particular, is a first-class family experience. So we want to make it easy to bank, not just yourself, but your partner, your children, members of household staff that you might have. And that's really a first-class experience in our product, unlike other products. You should expect that coming to our brokerage and our wealth management products as well, to the point where it's going to get better for you when you have your whole family on board. So a lot of people think, well, Robinhood is just banking on young people to inherit all the wealth. That's not true. I think Robinhood is an amazing place for folks in their 70s and 80s even to keep their money and their investments. And we offer these amazing match promos. So imagine, you're someone in your 60s, maybe you're 5 years away from retirement. You might have $10 million in your retirement account. Well, when we run a 3% match promo, that's $300,000 that's instantly credited to your account, which is a very, very strong value proposition. particularly the older and wealthier a customer is. And we find that as long as you're digitally savvy and you're comfortable with using smartphone and web-based technology, our customers get served very, very well, regardless of age.
Vlad, before we let you go, I was just talking to Max Levchin over at a firm, and I asked him, what does he do to de-stress? I mean, these are high-pressure cooker gigs. He told me he's a competitive cyclist. What do you do when you're not doing Robinhood? Like, what's your release point?
I like to go into the sauna. The sauna is sort of my de-stress zone. And it's quick, you're 15 minutes, a couple of times a week. It's very nice. And the great thing about it, you can't take your phone in there. If you take your phone, I've tried, it's about 5 minutes before it melts down.
Vlad, please be careful. I want to continue to talk to you into 2026. Please be careful, dude. Good to see all the stuff you're working on over there at Robinhood. I appreciate you coming to invest. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Soz.
All right.
Good to see you.
Thank you.